So I recently went down to Round Top for the second time a couple weeks ago, drove all the way there, stopping in Memphis and, well, Nashville first and then Memphis. Had a great time, met some wonderful people down there, and then got into Round Top early in the morning, day of the first day, and stayed for, I think, about 12 days, and then drove straight back home and got this little guy, which I wasn't expecting to, down in Texas. Say hello to Roscoe. Roscoe, say hello. And but the people I met this time were absolutely remarkable, and I got to do several interviews. This is probably my favorite one. There's just so much knowledge from Mike and Michelle. Now the audio is not the best because I'm right by the road and there's all kinds of stuff going on, and she has a natural stage voice, so she probably could have even done without the microphone, but there's so many hidden treasures in this, and it's very valuable content for those of you looking to enter the world of antiques and flea market fairs and becoming a vendor, buyer, seller. You see how all these things are connected, from, estate sales to thrift stores to consignment shops to junk removal, all that stuff. There's just a big web of it. And people are very down to earth and genuine. And I feel like I've gone to college several times over the past 2 years and received multiple degrees by opening up and talking to people and just taking the time to get to know them. And I can't thank Mike and Michelle enough for their wisdom. And without further ado, let's check them out.
My mother was into it. Yeah. So, it kind of passed it on to me. Then when I met the love of my life, she did it too, so we have a mountain.
And you've been together for
11 years. 7 years.
We met right down here at Rosa, Texas, 2014. You can find bargains, and sometimes you can find love at the flea market.
Spare tires, a good crescent wrench, a jack.
Duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape. Yeah, that'll cover it.
Twist tie. Like when you do your
zip ties, definitely need zip ties. You use them for lots of things.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because Mother Nature can be cruel.
And don't give in to fear, because, when you do these, a lot of times you invest a lot of money to get started, and you start getting afraid.
Yeah.
And don't give in to fear, because if you just keep on keeping on, it works out.
Yeah. I'd like for the kids to get into it.
Yeah, I think it's way better than what the...
You're always self-employed. I
think it's way better than what society teaches, that you have to get a job.
Absolutely.
No, you can make your own job.
Yeah.
You don't have to give in to the societal pressures to go get a job.
Yeah, exactly. Never punch a clock.
Punch a clock.
We don't even ever set an alarm, ever.
They're nasty.
Yeah, I don't think God meant for us to be jerked awake by some horrible loud sound in the morning. That was never meant to be.
That's true.
Most of them go ahead.
There you go.
Most of them are cool people.
Yeah.
There's going to be some asses everywhere you go, but most generally everybody will pull in and help you if you need help.
And I'll say this particular time of setting up, we're in a magical spot. We got a magical neighbor. We're all around. It's just been fantastic. We've only dealt with a couple of dickheads. And that ain't bad.
That's about
and you know what? At least they make us appreciate all the good ones.
Yeah. A lot.
Unique vintage, I'd say definitely unique vintage items that you don't see, because they kind of just jump out. They say, where do you find all this stuff? Well, it seems like it finds me. Well, I've started this when I was 19. I was not into vintage clothing, so I've run the gauntlet. But vintage clothing is my thing now, and it's hot right now. The vintage jewelry has always been a mainstay, no matter what I dealt in. and I've dealt in glassware to tins like primitives across the board. I tried it, and it goes in and out of style. But vintage jewelry never does.
Wow.
It's
So you
actually
just made that out of a piece of fabric?
Yes, and then I made these for my grandsons out of, and they outgrew them out of an old quilt. And so, yeah, so that's kind of really, I'm at the point I want to make stuff out of what I already have
That's what
instead of buying more. Yeah. Condition of the item. I look at the tag, the age of the tag, how old it looks, the type of fabric, just the quality in general. And if it has high end tags in it and it's a vintage high end tag, the price goes up.
Right. Yeah.
And then of course there's some that look vintage, and then when you look closer, they just are like a vintage inspired because you can tell by the fabric, you can tell by how fresh the tags are new and the synthetic stuff they're made out of. So yeah, it all comes into play. Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Good morning.
Does. It's actually good because if you just single out one item or one thing, if those people aren't there, your show kind of sucks.
Yeah.
If you kind of spread out a lot of eclectic items, then you're going to hit the mark somewhere.
Yeah.
It's actually, that's actually what I spent most of my selling years doing, is having an array. I've just the last few years toned it down to vintage clothes and vintage jewelry, and mainly because your typical antiques that used to be hot, and glassware especially, none of that, nobody wants it anymore. It's just changed drastically since the internet, and so I just changed with it.
And what do you feel is your most creative aspect of it? Is it coming in when this tent is totally empty and you're like, you have a vision, or you're always tinkering?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to have a vision how it's going to lay out, but most of the time it comes out better, and it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
But you start with a vision, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, this, it just kind of, it takes a life of its own. You're like, oh, that's better than I thought it was going to be. So,
Yeah.
and you continue to merchandise, just like when you walked up.
Yeah.
I'm moving things. You have to shuffle it and move it, or it gets stale. And if it's stale, people can feel it, and they're just going to move on.
Yeah. So I know.
Stir in the pot. You got to stir it up.
So I noticed in your front, like the curb appeal, right? You have a beautiful sign up here.
Hand painted by me, by the way.
Oh, beautiful. And then this mannequin right behind you has some popping colors. Is that on purpose?
Yes, of course. Yes. You got to get, and usually I have more stuff hanging out, and I usually have blankets, but we're talking about rain, so I decided to tone it down.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to race out and grab.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
On days that there's chance of rain, you just have to take that into consideration how you do your display, because you don't want to run around trying to get it all back in and running it.
And most places you go to with a tent, like at the end of the night, you guys are right there. You just drop these and that's it. Right?
Drop the sides, bungee it down, and if there's a chance of rain, just do an extra good job at it, because sometimes there's rain and wind, and it can get pretty treacherous out here.
Yeah.
As far as keeping track of what I paid for it and what I sold it for, I don't do that. I just write down the sale, and I keep the tickets as I buy them for tax purposes. But like, I've done this so long, I know typical values, and I just price it for typical values.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get stuff for steel, and sometimes I make a small amount. Usually, the lower profit items are items that pop, that you're bringing in. It brings people in.
Yeah.
And then the higher markups are kind of filler. And actually, filler is the life of the business. But you need the high end pieces that may not sell, but draw people in. So you need both.
So Phil, you're saying something you bought for $5, sold for $15, something like that?
Yeah, sometimes the markups, it kind of astounds me, because the easiest thing to buy and find is clothing. I mean, it's prolific out there, and it's a huge markup.
And it's good for the environment. I just read an article,
Yes,
90 tons of clothing, I don't know if it was a week or month, gets thrown in a dump.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there's a few showstoppers you're going to pay up for. But for the most part, maybe it's because I've been in the business long enough that I have a lot of connections. I'm really good at finding the stuff.
Yeah.
or it finds me. However,
Now, do you even? I'm sure you still look for stuff, but the fact that you have so much.
no, I've decided it's time to stop buying.
Yeah.
Because I've got bags I haven't sorted yet. I got boxes of jewelry I haven't sorted yet. I'm turning 63, and it's time to sell what I got.
Mm-hmm. And where did you usually source? Was it thrifts?
Well, I made a T-shirt because the most asked questions, where do you get all this stuff? I made a T-shirt that says that on it. It's everywhere. I mean, when you're in this business, you go out to lunch together, you see an estate sale, you stop. You go on vacation, you see a thrift store, you go in it. So it's just a continual, always. Or somebody calls you and says, look, my mother died, and the closet's full of stuff, and we're going to donate it. Do you want to come look? Or like one of the biggest buys I made was in Joplin, Missouri, where I bought downtown building, just 3 stories high, full of vintage clothes, mannequins, and all. And so, I've done a lot of buyouts back in the day. Yeah.
And how do you hear about buyouts?
Well, this particular buyout, which was one of the biggest ones, was somebody had been buying from for quite some time. And
so networking again with.
Yes, when you get known, and you get in the business long enough, you really don't have to look anymore.
Right.
Because it finds you.
Right.
Even when you say, I don't buy anymore, it's like they waylay you, say, you got to come get this stuff,
Yeah. 80% of, I was talking, you probably know Jill Suzanne.
Oh, yeah, I love her. Everybody loves her.
I'm right next to her. I was just shooting over at her place, and I said, it was kind of quiet today. This is the other day. She said, we had a great day. She's like, 80% of my customers repeat. When they come to Round Top, I'm sure you have it, well, we got to stop here every time, as opposed to just new customers.
Just wandering in, yeah. Yeah, I hope she has a very established following.
Yeah.
And as you stay in the business, you do accumulate established following, especially if you do the same spot.
Yeah.
And so they come looking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll wander by places and go, but they go to specific ones that they always like first, and then maybe wander in a few.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I post, including my personal one. Here it is again on this one. Well, that was another person, but anybody that knows to do that. I mean.
And so you do maybe 5, 10, and then what are you writing typically?
Well, like this one says, come see us. We still have mountains of vintage clothing and jewelry at M&M Finds and Designs. We open early and close late every day through April 5th. We are at Punky Conley's place. So you kind of give them what you got, when you're open, and exactly where you're located. I put on the description, Punky Conley, Highway 237, next to Granny McCormick. Zena's my neighbor. And I said we have whittled down the mountain since we opened, but there is so much that a lot of treasures have been overlooked.
Yeah.
Because we've been open, for quite a while, because we got here early.
Yeah.
And I still get questions, where are you located?
Yeah. So
even though I put it in there, where are you located?
Yeah.
But that's people for you.
Yeah.
And last question is, what do you plan on doing in your retirement?
I don't plan on retiring.
Well, you said you're not going to travel. You're going to do this from home still?
Yes, I'm never going to retire. I'm going to do appointment shopping, marketplace, eBay, however I can sell it. I'm going to keep selling probably till the day I die. I'm going to try not to buy. I'm going to try real hard not to buy, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, good luck to you in your not retirement, but in your retirement from the road.
This is a new chapter. I call it a new chapter, not retirement.
Yeah. And you never had another job?
No, I've done this since I was 19.
Yeah.
Raised my kids, took them on the road, homeschooled them until they were high school age, and did this.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's my goal.
One's 40, one's 42, and one's an engineer, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, good luck to you and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. That was great.
Hope you enjoyed that. There's a lot of great information and wisdom that came from Mike and Michelle, and I want to thank them again. And I'm going to be releasing many more podcasts leading up to the Brimfield Antiques Fair, which is the largest one in the country by vendors. So the difference between Brimfield and Round Top, where I was, Round Top is the largest by land. There's 11 and a half miles, 3,500, 4,000 vendors, something like that. And then Brimfield is a mile and a half, and it's 5,000 vendors. And I'm going to be stationed at Hertan's, my favorite place to shop there. I have a couple. So I've used the wisdom and knowledge of the past 2 years, 75 plus interviews, to set up my own tent for the first time with the help of the community. And I really got into this because I used to go to a lot of music festivals before having kids, seen Fish a ton of times, other music festivals, and I felt the same vibe with this crowd and just wanted to share it and get the word out there that they're very creative and interesting people from all around. So look forward to the next podcast. We have an art dealer, Rob from California, who I met down in Round Top, who was a fascinating dude. So till next time.